This episode was pretty cool. It was with Mike Doehla, the founder and CEO of Stronger You Nutrition. Some fun facts for him is in the minutes leading up to our interview, I think he was just waiting for me to get ready. I was making some coffee. But as I was doing so, he likes to interact on his Instagram, and his cat was putting his butt on his head. And like it just didn't matter what he was talking about, the cat was in there putting his butt on his head. So I mean, he's a very real dude. He's not afraid to show you what goes on behind the scenes. He's opened up a big spot in his heart for his cat, and just a good guy to talk to with a lot of wisdom. So it doesn't matter what you do for work or where you're at in life. I think you'll get something from this conversation. So here we go. Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase, Season 2. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. I'm your host, Chris Little. Let's get started. The Lifestyle Chase is brought to you by Yeg Fitness. Yeg Fitness is Edmonton, Alberta, Canada's healthy lifestyle community, creating and supporting active living for all. Check them out online at yegfitness.ca and on social media at yegfitness. So, welcome to episode 78 of The Lifestyle Chase. I am joined by the one and only Mike Doehla. How are you doing this morning?
Good, man. What's going on? I'm doing well.
I'm good myself as well. I made a smoothie, made a coffee. What was your breakfast this morning?
I actually had, so this is kind of crazy, and I think I invented it, but I'm not sure. I make overnight oats, but I put butterscotch pudding in it, and it tastes like butterscotch protein cold oats. It's so good, man. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Have you
coffee.
have you ever tried mixing like chia seeds into that or anything?
No, I actually purchased chia seeds once with the best intentions, but I never used them or ate them.
I tried them in scrambled eggs once, and I just found it like it's bizarre. I know that, and it makes the eggs a little bit crunchier. But like when you're trying to
Yeah.
like hit a certain protein target by a certain hour, that certainly makes life a lot easier. And I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that's my special magic trick. Now it's out in the public. Everybody's gonna know.
Yeah, no, I never. I have put psyllium husk in things like oats and pudding and stuff like that to get more fiber, but I haven't really messed with the chia seeds much. They're still in my cabinet, and they don't look
Nice.
like they're food that goes bad. So
Yeah, they last a while.
yeah.
All right. So I'm curious, who are three people that you look up to?
Oh my God. Uh, let's see. I would say in anywhere, right? Not
Yep.
just fitness.
Anywhere.
I would say I would say Jeff Bezos for what he did with Amazon. I want to say Elon Musk. Um, and then who's like the most generous person in the world? I don't know. That person. Someone that actually isn't just about building a business, but about giving back and making the world a better place. I just can't pinpoint who that person is.
That's fair. That's a good answer. So I was doing a little bit of research because, like, when you have somebody that's on your podcast, you want to kind of check out the other podcasts that they've been on. And I've
Mhm.
obviously listened to the ones on the Fitness Devil. Then I checked out another one. I can't remember. It might have been Jeb's podcast or something like that. But it was,
Yep.
you talked about how your marketing strategy would be potentially like putting 100,000 into like a road trip across the country.
Yeah.
What kind of towns would you go to if you did that? And would you keep it to just United States? Would you go to Canada? Would you go overseas? What would you do?
So my little backstory, I like guerrilla marketing. I'm not a huge fan of like traditional like let me just put a billboard and get attention type marketing. I like to think of our marketing as like taking care of someone in the process of building brand awareness. So my idea was probably over a few beers was if I took $100,000, got in a van, drove around the country, taught people how to grocery shop, paid for their groceries, and just tried to like document the whole thing. So I'd probably go to places where our members are, which is fortunately pretty much everywhere now in the country and in many other countries too. But I would just try to take care of them, give back to the people that gave to us, that literally built this thing for us.
Yeah, I really like that. Like that kind of resonated with me because I think a lot of times things get overcomplicated and we forget to like take care of people first. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like for me as a personal trainer, it doesn't matter so much how many clients I want to have. It's worrying about the clients that I do have and making sure that their experience is everything that it could be. Like they might not be getting the training session that they want, whether I think they are or not. So like
Right.
I'll ask more questions and stuff. But for you, like let's go back to the time in your life when you hadn't quit your old job, but you had this plethora of clients. How would you talk to them and know that they were getting the experience that you wanted them to have? What kind of questions would you ask them?
So I would always make sure that um, as wrong as this sounds, that they were taken care of well before my current job because I was like, man, I did a great job at my old job, but I was not completely into it. Um, so I was super hyper focused on my clients around me. And I don't know if I was that good at the time of asking what they need as I am now. But I would just kind of give them what I thought I would want if I was in their shoes. And I wouldn't look at it as if I was the person that I was helping because my food abilities and my goals are different than the people I'm working with. What I would do is try to put their hat on and think of what I would want from a coach if I was them. And a lot of times that was the complete opposite of who I was. I was a young 30 something year old dude who was in decent shape. And most of my clients were women in their 40s that were sick of dieting, that just wanted to get out of the rat race. So I had to think about what is it like to be that person. And it's not always easy, but I think it came kind of naturally because of my past and my other jobs in the service business and banking and human resources. I kind of knew how to read people and find out what they wanted.
I like it. So, on this podcast, I talk a lot about core values. I'm kind of a bit of a hippy dippy dude, but it's just, I find when a person is doing things that sort of align with, like, say, four things that are very most important to them, then they tend to be the most successful that they can be and the happiest that they can be. And I'm a big advocate for, like, doing a job that you love and feeling fulfilled, regardless of the money, regardless of all that stuff, just like having a purpose in life. So based on core values, try to reflect on yours, and I want you to tell me about the job of all the jobs that you had that was furthest away from what you deemed to be most important in life.
I think when I was branch manager at one of the banks I used to work in, it was all about just making money, borderline misleading people, trying to push products on people that they didn't need but were masked as a need for people. For example, they would try to convince us to sell credit cards to every 18-year-old that walked in the building, try to get the elderly on online banking when they didn't have access to a computer. And it was just like, this is just not who I am. It's not what I want to do every day. It seemed wrong to me to try to get, especially an 18-year-old in credit card debt just to make some ridiculous goal for our region. And I was just like, man, this is not what I want to be about.
Yeah, I like that. How old were you when you had that job?
I was probably like 26, 27.
So what was life like for you then in comparison to how it is for you now?
I was lost, man. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something a little more important. I wanted to be proud of the work I did. I wanted to be financially free, but that wasn't necessarily the goal. I was, dude, it took me a while to get my crap together.
Did that version of you ever foresee working in any kind of the fitness wellness space?
So no, I got back into it. Like when I was young, I was really into it, and then I like kind of just did stuff in passing. And then when I was probably like 26 or 27, right around that time, I got really more involved in it as a hobby and for my own well-being. And I did start to think about like, could this ever be a job? I didn't know what that job was going to be, but I had a lot of different thoughts. Where I ended up was definitely not what I thought I would be doing.
Yeah, I like that. When we were talking about people that you looked up to, you highlighted Jeff Bezos. So that's the
Yep.
Amazon guy, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the one thing that I've seen in Amazon is like they get bigger, they get bigger, they get bigger, and they get this reputation for like not really caring about everybody that's within the circle. And I'll preface this by saying that I think Stronger You does a great job about caring. But I want to know from you, what is it that's going to make you better than Amazon in like a
Jeez. I mean,
logistics?
so that's a tough one because I'll say I don't think we could ever beat someone with the resources like that in um, almost anything other than the connection with our client on a one-to-one basis. I don't think there's many businesses out there. I know there's no businesses in our space that are as close to their customers as us.
That's a good way to put it. I think that's important. Like, I'm glad you didn't go down the rabbit hole of like, oh well, like they make more money and all this stuff. Like it shows a lot about a person's character in the things that they focus in.
Yeah.
One thing that's been sort of a theme for me is just like getting better at connecting with people. Like that's what I love about podcasts is it blocks in time in your life to actually just sit down in front of somebody and like genuinely talk about things that they care about, explain about things that you care about. And I think that's something that's lacking in today's world. Like sometimes I worry that that is why that's why it's so lucrative in the fitness industry because there are so many people that like almost crave that communication and then so many people that can't do it. If you could
Yeah.
give somebody three pieces of advice on how to communicate better with anybody in their life, whether it's somebody that they're coaching or just somebody that they live with or somebody that they see on the street, what are three pieces of advice that you would give them?
I would say ask more questions than you give advice. I would say listen to people just or have a conversation distraction free. So like when you're talking to someone, don't have like 50 million tabs opened. If you're texting someone while you're having a conversation with someone, that's not a good thing. Um, and the last thing is follow up. I think a lot of people have good conversations and then they never speak of it again. You can touch base with people, you can reach out again, you can go deeper on certain things. Like, I'm pretty sure this is not the last time we're going to talk, and that's cool. Like, we're going to make a friendship here, you know? That's one of my favorite things is talking to people about stuff. Like, it's doesn't happen enough, really.
Yeah, I agree. We're on the same page there. So now we're going to segue to your cat because I'm weird like that. What's your favorite thing
Yeah, yeah.
about your cat?
Um, Man, I think how she a lot of times chooses to lay on my leg when we're in bed over my wife's leg. It shows like at the end of the day, she comes to me.
So, like, how did your cat get introduced into your life?
So it was Krista's, my wife's cat. So when I met her, she had a cat, and I was not a fan of cats previously. And it took me a while to warm up to this cat because she's a little pain in the butt. She is not a cat that you can just pet when you want. And there's only certain like angles you can come at her with or times of the day when you can pet her where she won't try to scratch or bite you. So it took a while to warm up to her, but or for me or her to warm up to me, I should say, because I
Yeah,
was the new guy.
that's awesome, and it's just it's funny because like I can totally twist this and be like, well, I bet your cat made you a better coach, but it's true. Like,
Yeah,
doesn't matter if people are paying us to coach them or train them. Like they're gonna have little things like you can only talk to them at certain times. You can only talk to them about certain things, and it's just like the more you get to know the cat, the better you are for the cat.
I did a blog on things the cat taught me, like how to be a better eater. Like
Nice.
it was kind of a joke, but it was dead serious. Like watching how animals interact with food, you're gonna learn stuff as an eater. So
Yeah, yeah, I can get on that. I can get on that page. Like that totally makes sense. I always tell people like doesn't matter who you meet, you can always learn something from them. And honestly, when we're out here, like everybody has their dogs and their cats, and that's truly like a family member. You can learn things from dogs and cats too.
Yeah.
So I have a theory that I've been running by a lot of people. I think it started off, I was talking to Dean Somerset about it, and it's basically, do you think dogs could elicit a personal best in the gym? And then the case study would be this. It's like you go to the gym, you don't know whether there's a dog or not, and you go to lift. And then you do another lift and you don't know whether there's a dog or not, but there is a dog, and you go to lift. Do you think that second lift with the dog with proper like recovery time would be a more successful lift based on the dog's presence or not?
I think probably yes, as long as the dog is tied up and there's no chance it would run under the barbell while you're lifting.
Yeah, I like that.
Um, I think it would relax the person and it would make them a little happier.
I agree. I agree. One day,
I think this study is hilarious. I think we should figure it out.
one day I'm gonna be bringing it up to enough people that there'll be like a big, like proper study done. Maybe at the next
Yeah,
Evolve symposium or something.
yeah, yeah.
If they're gonna be putting that on for next year, are you coming up to Edmonton for that?
I really want to. I told Andrew I'm going to try to do it. I'm pretty sure as long as I get the date, I'll just hold it and I'll be there.
Good, good. So my next question for you on the topic of seminars or symposiums or conferences, what is the very first fitness summit or conference that you went to?
I I want to say it was an RP seminar in Brooklyn, maybe. I don't remember. That was like it was a pretty small one. It was probably like 30 people when I went there, but the first big one I think was the Kansas City Fitness Summit and maybe 2017, I want to say.
Yeah. So, what was? We'll go back to the RP one. What was that one like for you? Like, what was the experience like? Who were like two people that really like made an impression on you? Two people that were not presenters.
So I honestly like I was so into the seminar that I didn't even really pay attention to anyone else there. So I don't remember anyone else that I really met there. Other ones I do, but not that one.
That's
And if
kind of
someone
cool.
was there that remembers me, I'm gonna feel like a jerk.
But it's interesting to reflect on that because like from what I know of you, I feel like you'd be the complete opposite now going to seminars. Like I feel like you would definitely value the content out there, but you'd
Yeah,
be
yeah.
more about connecting with people.
Yeah, I think
So
my knowledge then was a lot more raw and I was trying to get as much info as possible. And now I'm like all about like finding people and meeting people and stuff like that.
totally. With your first Kansas City Fitness Summit, who were three people that stood out to you there?
Derek Stanley, he's now on our team. Um, Andrew Coates, who I think is just like super personable dude, and Mark Fisher.
Nice. That's awesome. It's cool because like I went to the Kansas City Fitness Summit with Andrew this past year, and like I was so nervous because like I saved all the money that I had to be able to afford to go. Like I
Yep.
was in my first year of being self-employed under the Evolve umbrella, and just every bit of spare money I had went to continuing education. And I basically asked like it was my birthday in February. The summit was I think in like May or something, and I asked my parents for like money for my birthday to pay for the plane ticket.
Yep.
So I got there and I was broke, and I was like, my goodness, I cannot be paying for Ubers for anything. And then Derek was walking around and he was like, anybody need a ride? I'm like, oh, yes, yes, I need a ride.
Yeah,
And like,
Derek's awesome, man.
I bummed a
Good
ride
dude.
from him so many times, and that was honestly the highlight because like just the group that we had in there was
Yep.
such a like good humans, good group, good vibes, always like
That's what I'm all
positive.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
man. There's some really good people in this business.
it's yeah, like, and you can't say it enough, but on the same side, there's some pretty like dark, shady people.
Yeah, those people I just remove from my life. You know, I make jokes about it on Instagram and talk about all that stuff, but yeah, there's a lot of people out there that they don't know yet that you could make a living being a good person in this business. And
Yeah.
that's like, I think what I'm most proud of is like, we didn't have to bullshit anybody. We didn't lie to anybody. We didn't steal. We didn't backstab. We don't even do any kind of like manipulation with marketing. It's just like, here's what we do. You want it? Cool. Let's do it.
I think that's one of my favorite things about the marketing because, like, for me, I get really frustrated when there's something that it almost manipulates you into going into their thing, and then you're stuck, and then you're getting all these emails, and it's just like you
Yeah.
never even said, "Yes, I want this service." It's just all of a sudden you're getting all these things and all these offers and stuff.
Yeah, it sucks.
What's been your most fulfilling guerrilla marketing endeavor? And we're talking about like going into somewhere that's just like right in front of you. Like, for example, maybe there's an office that's just a block away from you. Can you reflect on one?
I think probably when I go to a local coffee shop, I leave $20 to $50 with the cashier and just tell them the guy in the corner paid for their coffee. And I just have my computer up with my laptop skin, and I'm also strategically placed by the bathroom because I know in coffee shops, since it runs through you, a lot of people go back and forth to the bathroom, and I'm in like the prime location.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Do you got another example? Keep them coming. Give me two more.
Um, I yeah, I leave business cards on planes. I put like a $5 bill in the menu and our business card and say like lunch on us or snacks on us. Um, what else? God, I have a bunch. I just got interviewed about some of this stuff the other day and I'm like blanking out. I've done business cards on Halloween candy. I've left business cards outside of bowls of Halloween candy. I become the dude in certain Facebook groups that are completely unrelated to nutrition. Uh, but I become the dude that knows nutrition. So whenever it comes up, people tag me and I'll ask or answer questions. So I think it's just about being in front of the right people at the right time
Yeah, agreed. And
without being a sleazeball.
oh, totally. Well, like I mean,
Yeah.
like there's so many people that'll like just they'll hop into the precision nutrition group and they'll start soliciting business or something. It's like, come on, like get out of here.
That's weird. I mean, I've seen people promote they're like, I have an app I built to coach people. Does anyone want to use it? I'm like, Precision Nutrition has one. Like, you can't
Yeah,
do that. That's not okay.
too funny, too
Yeah.
funny. So my next question for you is, um, during your time, like let's say mid 20s. Oh, my screen just did something weird. Are you still there?
I hear you. Yeah. I still hear you loud and clear.
Okay, well, hopefully my screen doesn't. Hopefully it fixes itself. In your 20s, 30s, there was probably a few like uphill battles when it comes to just like staying afloat, making the finances that you needed to make. Were there any moments where you just kind of like doubted yourself and was like, how am I going to make this happen?
Yeah. Well, so everyone knows of this mic, right? The one that has Stronger You and everything's cool. But when I started, I got my start in training people out of my garage. So when I was probably 26, 27, getting really back into this stuff and thinking, how can I make this a job? I didn't default to nutrition coaching. I don't even know if that was like really a thing, right? But I was like, all right, I'll just train people. I'll buy a bunch of equipment. I'll paint my walls orange. I'll affiliate with CrossFit. I'll try to, if you build it, they will come, right? Well, a year later, I'm in not a ton of debt, but think of like enough equipment so six people could train at once. So a decent amount of stuff, and nobody gave a crap, right? So I was in debt. I was trying to make it bigger, but I couldn't because I was in a cold, dirty garage and I had to stop. I was like, nope, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to transition to online nutrition. So for probably 13, 14 months, I was like struggling with that, but I still had my full-time job. So it was still a side gig, right? It was just me trying to replace one thing for another. And it didn't really work out, thankfully now.
That makes sense. What was the last job that you held before you jumped and did Stronger You full time?
I was in human resources. I worked for a company called J&D Ultra Care. We staffed nurses in homes of medically fragile children. So I was in like the HR world, payroll, benefits, interviewing, stuff like that.
What was the toughest day of work that you had in doing that job?
Probably when I screwed up payroll and people couldn't contribute to their 401ks, and I know it impacted their retirement accounts
Oh,
because
jeez.
yeah. So, um, but I mean, there were days there that were, and I think that business built my sense of urgency that ultimately helped us develop our systems at Stronger You, because there were certain times where someone had to be on call, and if the phone rang, we had to connect our nurses with the medical supervisors if something was going on. So, I mean, there were times where people passed away. There were times where there were medical emergencies, and it was like I was the first one to be notified of some of that stuff.
So, what did that teach you about the sensitivities to have as the leader of a company? Like say one of your staff has a client that had something happen, but you still want to be connected to that. How do you make that or implement that to happen?
Just have the right channels in place. So have a plan in place where if something goes on, and we're in a completely different world now, right? So like our emergency is not what those emergencies want. Now or were. Now it's like, hey, this is going on. Can I speak to someone? Cool. Here's the channels we go down. You talk to this person when this happens. You talk to that person when that happens, and we don't make people wait. So we're big on response time, and that I think is what my old job built for us now.
Yeah, makes sense. I like that. You travel a lot. Where
Yeah,
are the three coolest places that you've been to ever?
Iceland, Hawaii. Uh, Let me think here. What's the third one? I don't know. Maybe Costa Rica. I don't
Ooh,
know. There's so many cool places.
I like those places. What was your favorite
Yeah,
thing about Costa Rica?
I think that just the so we were in three different places, and it was like three different, completely different uh, environments. It was like jungle, one was beach, one was mountains. So it was super different, super unique.
How did the nutrition in Costa Rica differ from the nutrition in like areas that you frequent more often?
So I think it's better. I
Yeah.
think they're more focused on like nutrient dense whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of local cuisine. Most other places are like, in America especially, is just like, here, eat this, like medicate with food, enjoy.
Yeah, like I completely agree with that. I did some backpacking in Costa Rica for like 2 weeks, and it was 3 years ago or so. And it was
Yeah,
just to sort of like see how when you reduce the options and just make it more simple, it's a lot easier for people to be successful with it.
that's
With
it, man. It's the options. The options here kill us. There's
yeah,
too much opportunity to fail. And that everything we do is about reducing the opportunity to fail.
well, and it's also with like when you're coaching somebody, a lot of people almost make it too complicated. Like
Yeah.
I had this great conversation with Dean Guido, and he and I were talking about like the amount of protein that I eat in a day, and
Mhm.
then the conclusion was basically that I should probably eat some more protein. And then I ate some more protein, and then I started looking really strong, and all my lifts increased. And I was like, well, shit, that was really simple. We didn't have to
Right.
overcomplicate it, and I think that's not being done enough. Like just the simple fact of like maybe you don't have to focus on like all the macros per se, but just like
Right.
find one thing that they can focus on and see if they succeed or not. Because like, what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose, and they're more likely to actually just nail it, which is awesome.
Right. I had a post today in our group about, what the program really is. And I simplified it so much that I reduced it to the program is eat the right amount of food. But trying to do that is what we're fixing. So, and I said this on their podcast, but like we didn't sell calorie counting. We sold how to calorie count. We're getting people to do the things that actually matter that they could never do before, by finding their personal challenges and fixing those things.
I like it. So then, tell me about Iceland. What did you like about that?
Dude, it was just like another planet, man. It was seeing the northern lights, seeing the volcanoes and the glaciers and all that stuff was amazing. The food was terrible there. Not like junk food, but just like not that great of cuisine. But yeah, man, it was super cool there. Not as cold as you'd think either. It was we were there in February, and it was a few years back, and it was like the 30. It was in the 30s. It was colder in New York than it was there.
I like it. Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
Yep, love it.
So,
Except like the last episode.
yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
You know the mountain? So that great
Oh
big
yeah,
guy?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. I know.
so I interviewed his videographer. He's actually local to Edmonton, but he DM'd the mountain or Halfthor,
Mhm.
and he just was like, "Hey, I want to collab," and then Halfthor was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and just flew him up. And then
That
now
is
he
cool.
does his personal videography, which is pretty cool because then not only did he just like try for the job, like he was like, I'm just gonna ask him if he wants to collab, and the dude was like, yeah, for sure. But also the amount that he's been able to grow as a person from being in that space that is totally out of his comfort zone, like you, he would be very unused to all the food up there, and
Yep.
it's totally like it's a very different culture, a very warm, welcoming culture, but different. And
Mhm.
then just kind of like that feeling of slight feeling of isolation sort of thing. Like it gets, I think socially it can be a lot quieter if you aren't connected with the people in your community.
Yeah. And
But
there's 300,000 people or so on the island, and 200 live in the big city in
yeah,
Reykjavik. So it's desolate, man. You're out there driving around, and it's like there is nobody here. And this is actually funny talking about community. Our tour bus ran out of gas, and the dude like just saw some random person that he knew that could push the truck with their truck or the bus with their bus. I'm like, this guy knows some random guy that just passed us on the highway. That's small town living.
well, I think that's the way to be. Like even within a big city, I think it's good to have these like sub communities. And I think you're kind of on the same page with that. Like you advocate for your stronger you community, and you advocate for like the importance of the little conversations in your day. If you like, you know how you do your guerrilla marketing and you drop off your cards and stuff. But let's say you're making an impact through like a social impact and like helping other people to communicate better, but with zero agenda. Like it's not making you any money to make somebody talk to the other people better. How would you do that? What would your like strategy be for doing that?
To inspire people to be better.
Yeah,
I
well,
was
just to
under,
like to empower other people to get more out of life because they are better at communicating with people right in front of them.
how would I encourage that? Man, I don't know. I guess maybe just lead by example, see how awesome it is. I think a lot of people, especially online, are in their little shell. And what my best piece of advice for pretty much everyone online is get your ass offline. Stop thinking everything has to happen in this little bubble. Have real conversations, see what people are about, and just, you know, see if, again, without any, you know, what's called quid pro quo, like who cares if you get something out of it? You're meeting someone. Maybe one day you
Exactly.
will.
Exactly. So that's a great segue for the question that's been like on my mind because one time I was on an interview with somebody who's made a really good living on his podcast. But then he was on my podcast, and I really don't make anything off of this podcast, but I probably spend like 20 to 30 hours a week because it's just
Mhm.
something I'm passionate about. What is the thing that you spend the most time on that isn't your income, and why do you spend your time on that thing? Like, what makes you passionate about that thing?
I think Facebook in general or Instagram. And some could argue it is my income because there are, I constantly meet people and help people on there. But that's like, and that's where I think, was our differentiator because I was, talking back when I was 26, 27. I've been on Facebook interacting with people since, some of these fitness professionals have been in like elementary school. You know what I mean? So I have that experience communicating online with people and connecting forever. And it was just what I did. Back then, it wasn't because I thought I would have a job on that platform or that communicated on that platform. It's just what I always loved to do was then maybe it goes back to me being like a shy kid where I was very timid speaking in front of people or groups or whatever. But online I felt like I could just say whatever the hell I wanted. And it opened me up to being a little more outgoing.
What is the most abrasive criticism you've ever gotten when it comes to Stronger You? Like the stuff that actually kind of hurts your feelings?
Um, Man, you know what? Like, there's every once in a while, someone is like, I could do that myself. I could just download my Fitness Pal and track food. And it's like, I have no problem saying, okay, like, I totally get that. But if that was the thing that was going to help you, you would already be doing it. So why don't you come over here? We'll do it with you. Because all that is a calculator, a food log. It's not adjusting, it's not managing, it's not helping in any way other than documenting the decisions that you choose to tell it, which are probably not what you're going to tell us when you actually have someone watching you.
Yeah. Has anybody ever like made you feel as though you're doing something that doesn't align with your core values? Like has anybody ever accused you of being like a faker or just being like fake nice or anything like that?
Yeah, so I've had some interesting situations where like people we have such passionate members that when someone in a group or somewhere online will ask about Stronger You, we might have two, three, four, 10 people say Stronger You, Stronger You, Stronger You, and they think that they're being paid or it's some kind of MLM. And we're like, no, man, like we just have such excited members that they want to tell you about their experience. They
Yeah.
want because they feel everyone in our community like I really think like too many businesses are like customer versus corporate and it's like this battle. We're just like one team and everyone just wants everyone to feel better. And that's like the thing that no one could ever take from us. There's people out there that are like, oh, well, this person does what you do. Yes, they do nutritional coaching. That is the only similarity between them and us. Nobody has our community. No one has our coaches. No one has our culture. No one is taking this from us. And that's the thing that as you can probably tell, I'm so friggin' excited about because there are things like these automated apps and stuff where people can just plug in their info and get spit out numbers. And I'm like, numbers are not your problem. Humans and challenges and the right fit, that's what we provide.
Well, I think that's good insight. Like, if there was somebody that was listening to this, like, honestly, it's funny with podcasts. Like, you never actually know who's listening to it. Like, my mom and
Yeah.
dad listen to every episode, and that's about all the intel that I have. But it's like when when it comes to just a business or a goal or a venture or anything like that, everybody gets all concerned about what everybody else is doing, and it's like
Yeah.
say I was selling shoes and my neighbor's selling shoes. I'm gonna be like, well, how many shoes are they selling? And I could actually be more focused on like making sure the shoes that I sell are clean and they smell nice. And then
Right.
everybody gets my nice smelling clean shoes and they're like, I'm gonna get more of those. And then it doesn't really matter how many the other guy sells because mine always smell nicer and look cleaner.
Yep.
And it's just like that is something that very few people have like the patience to think of it that way because they just want to sell more faster or they want to be better than the other person at a quicker rate, and it's just like you got to play the long game. Like I imagine
Yeah.
there's plenty of businesses that were in the same like realm as you when you were starting off that you have outgrown over an extended period of time. can you reflect on a few, like even if they were just like a fitness business and you're a nutrition business, or maybe it's just with like the, because there's Stronger You Fitness as well, but like just a company that kind of stands out to you that you've kind of crept past stealthily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to name names or anything, but there's quite a few out there that were like further along in the nutrition coaching game than when we started. And people would ask like, "Hey, what do you guys think? Stronger You versus them?" And I was like they have all this other stuff that we don't have. I'm just a dude that had a couple hundred clients. Like, of course they're beyond us, but then we just kind of crept right on by, and it's kind of cool to see that. They're still awesome. I'll still recommend them if anybody asks. I think there's, like I always say, and not to sound like super PC, but there's enough to go around, right? We all are in a business that literally the entire world could benefit from. There isn't a person you meet that couldn't benefit from fitness coaching or nutrition coaching. So I don't care how many people are out there. Just don't do dirty stuff. Don't try to poach people. Don't try to talk bad about people. Just be a good person. And if your
Yep.
business, if you think your growth relies on you being a shitty person, you need to get the hell out of the business because it's going to eat you up.
So true. And I like that way of putting it. It's just like sometimes when you are focused with all of the right intentions, like things that are meaningful to you, and you're hypersensitive to what your surroundings are, like you might have like the horse blinders on for your goals, but your goals are focused on the outcomes of the people around you. When you do it that way, like success kind of creeps on you. Like even with this podcast, like I put up a post recently and it was like October 2018 I had like 200 listens. And then
Mhm.
October 2019 I had 1400 listens in that month. And it was just like all I did was just talk to people each week. And
Right.
I didn't push it
Spread.
too hard, but it's just like somebody listens and they're like, "Oh, this seems genuine. I like this. I will listen again." And then the next week you get somebody else, and you get somebody else, you get somebody else, and it's just like it's not about being better than anybody else. It's just kind of like putting out something genuine each week.
Right.
So,
Just keep working hard and putting it out there. And
oh yeah.
if it's good, people will keep consuming.
My next question for you is, in the last 7 days, what is one thing that you've done that brought you the most joy, made you the most happy?
Hmm. I don't I don't know. Maybe I think preparing for this Stronger You Staff Summit. So every year now, this is going to be the second one. We get the staff together in one location for like 3 days. We hang out, we mingle, we do meetings, and then we do like a fun event. So just I think planning some of that stuff. And fortunately, our team is so good at planning most of it. I just had to put a lot of finishing touches on, but I think that's what has given me the most joy, that we're going to be in a room with 50 plus people who have jobs because of this silly idea I had.
Yeah. What was the moment that kind of inspired or made you think this is something that you needed to happen every year?
Um, I think. Well, I remember we were in Las Vegas a couple years back. We spoke at the NBA Refs Association meeting, and we had a bunch of our coaches around just because we were going to like hang out. And I was like, man, we need to do this like a more formal thing. And then it happened, and then I was like, this is so awesome because it working online, you connect, but you don't get that like human element that you do when you're in person. So just being able to connect with everyone that works here is what I just need more of, and I can't wait to see everybody this week.
I think that's important to promote.
Yeah.
Like Movember is here, so that's why I have this
Yep.
greasy stash going on. But it's like people are connected, they're networking, they've got 6,000 friends, they've got 100,000 followers, but it is really important to go out of your way
Yeah.
to be right in front of a person and to like sort
Yeah.
of share space and all that stuff. So then my next question for you is on the topic of this summit. What is like how do you decide that something is fun or not? Is it based on you or is it based on somebody else?
So we actually, the first year, we just kind of like wung it. We were just like, all right, this is what we're going to do. But then as soon as we got back, we put out a survey, asked like what they thought, what they want better, where they might want to go. So we actually measured the happiness or the satisfaction so we could make it better.
What was the weirdest feedback that you got in that survey?
Pick somewhere that isn't far from an airport. I guess someone didn't like how long it took to get from Phoenix to Sedona last year.
That's awesome.
So we're in Orlando this year, so it should probably be like 15 minutes.
What was the most I guess heartwarming feedback that you got from that survey?
I think the connection everyone made, like because we all kind of know each other, right? We see each other online all the time, we talk all the time, but being in the same room and like when someone is like my conversation with that dude completely made me a better coach because I really think that a lot of people ask like who inspires you in the industry. The people that inspire me are working here. Those are the smartest people and the most experienced people I've ever come across. And I say this, and I don't know if it's true, but I think it is. I don't think there's another team out there that has as much experience working with real people as we do. It's amazing to think like, and I'm gonna tell them when I see them and I do my little spiel at the meeting, there isn't a room in the world that knows what these people know. Like that's powerful shit.
Well, and I mean, think of it from their perspective. For them to hear that with, just unwavering confidence, it's just like when you're a personal trainer and you're with your client, you're like, you're gonna freaking lift this. I don't know what you think, but I think you're gonna lift this,
Yeah.
and they're probably
Yep.
gonna lift it. And so when they have somebody in a leadership role, and they're like, this is the best damn group that I could ever assemble, and you're all here, and I'm just really happy that you've come together. Like it's true, but
Yep.
also for them to hear it, how often do people actually open their mouth and say that to people? That is important. It's kind of with my clients, I've asked them what was the favorite part about their session, and they're pretty good at communicating with me. One of them was when you were like, woo, after I did the sled
Yeah.
push, that was my favorite part. And I was like, oh, okay. And then so I make a mental note, and after each sled push, if I'm feeling it, I make sure to vocalize it. If I'm pumped that
Yep.
a Ukrainian dancer just pushed 680 pounds across the turf, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, and everybody's
Yeah,
gonna hear
right.
it.
Exciting. Yep.
But
Dude, I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
yeah. So I'll give you two more questions, and then I'll set you free to be out in the wild. But my second last question is, what's the toughest public speaking events you've ever done? It's just you speaking. You have no support. There's nobody that's going to take over the mic. It's just you talking about what you're passionate about.
So I haven't really done a lot other than just like nutrition seminars, which are mostly members and people I kind of know. I think one was I met it was a little networking group locally. A bunch of women got together, formed a networking group, and wanted someone to speak about social media stuff. So I had to show up and talk about things that I thought I knew. I didn't really prepare much because I wanted it to just flow. And once I got going, I was like, man, this is cool. So I think just like anything, the hardest thing is starting. But once you get going, you're going to be fine. Like
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about talking in front of our group this coming week. But I'm like, man, once I get like 3 sentences in and I get all excited, it's just going to flow. Just like these. Like I still get nervous before podcasts. I'm like, what am I going to say? What if I say something stupid? Am I going to embarrass myself? Like, no, you're probably not going to. Everything's going to be fine.
Totally. And it's funny because this is the first time that my screens ever went black for 3 minutes. But then it came back, so that was really nice when it came back. I was like, man,
Mhm.
it's still recording. We're
Yeah.
still good. I can still hear him. It's good.
Yep.
So my very last question, and this is something that I usually compile this all together. I get all the episodes put together and put some beautiful music behind. So make sure it's the best advice that you have. The question is, if you could give one piece of advice on how to live your life most authentically to the fullest, what would that piece of advice be?
Um, give more than you get. I think with no expectation of anything coming in return. I think too many people in this world live almost like an accidental, selfish life. They take care of themselves only, and they don't look at giving back to certain people that help them along the way.
That's great. Like that is an important sentiment to leave people with because some people are scared to give too much. They're scared that they're just going to like empty their cup because they're trying to like uplift others, but like it doesn't really happen that way. Like when you're genuine and when things are like well, they're when they're heartfelt and they're done with intention, like you're going to get that back one way or another. So people need to stop being so scared.
Hmm.
I want to
Yeah.
thank you again for taking all this time to shoot the shit with me.
Dude,
Um,
anytime, man. I have a good
Sweet.
time doing these things.
That's awesome. So I will let you go. We'll close off this episode.
Cool. Thanks, man.
You bet. All right. Thank you for listening. Now, I gotta ask really, 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 really nicely because I'm so close to 10,000 listens. So close. I think I need about 140 more listens and then I've done it. And, I'm a pretty nice guy. I deserve some nice things. So please, if you have a friend and you can get them to just download 20 episodes, even if they listen to them later, let's do this. Let's get that 10,000. Come on, let's do this. Let's go. If I motivated you, thank goodness, because I'm running out of ideas. Like, I only have one mom, one dad, and that's like 2 listens per episode. So, like, I either need more moms and dads, or I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll get a bot to listen to these. But thank you for the support. Honestly, every episode is pretty heartfelt. I talk about things that matter to me. I try to talk about things that matter to my guests, and it's just trying to put out some good vibes. So, thank you for your support, and we'll catch you on the next one.